How is everybody doing today? Nomad here. Thank you for checking out the video. We're going to be going over my Brr-Zerker Stabo build focused around applying boosted elemental frost damage as well as constantly critting. Really quick, subscribe to the channel. We are insanely close to 1K subs. Drop a like on the video. It really helps the channel grow, but without further ado, let's get into it. First point in the tree, we have 5 points into Ancestral Frost. This is the beginning of our elemental damage for this build with a 20% increase in frost damage, which is very important. Next, we have Icebreaker. This is a big part of the build with plus 50% to frozen enemies. Running an SMG with this, enemies will be frozen almost instantly. Now next we have Old Ways. This is to help us get further in the tree as well as give us a 30% bonus to damage when we are up close and personal. This is great for boss melts, just get in their face and fire away. Next we have Instincts. This is great with a 12% increase to reload times. This is very good because with this build I normally run an SMG and we know how easily an SMG mag can empty. Next off we have Cold Snap. This increases our frost efficiency overall. So we have a 32% increase to frost efficiency, which is great. This next skill, Relentless Rage, is to help us get further in the tree as well as just a quality of life. When you get into Save Your Soul, doing damage restores the gauge so we can be in it longer if you need to. This is great because have you guys ever experienced a time where you're fighting a boss, he downs you, and there's no enemies around to get out of Save Your Soul? So if you need to, you can lay fire on the boss a little bit, refill your gauge until an enemy appears. It's just quality of life here and beneficial. Second to last skill in the tree is Iron Squall. This increases our fire rate by 15%. As we know, the faster we shoot, the more damage we output quicker, so this is great for this build here. Last but certainly not least, for the Brr-Zerker tree is Blood of the Fallen. Really quick, I just want to say this is by far one of, if not the best skill in the game to me. The reason for that is this restores a duration of your action skill cooldown when you get a kill, and the reason why this is important is when you're in from the shadows, every time you get a kill, it's going to refill that gauge so you can stay in from the shadows longer. Now when the liquid cooling was around, I was able to stay in from the shadows during an obelisk fight from the beginning all the way until I killed the end boss, because I was able to just kill guys and it just kept refilling. So as long as you're able to kill guys quick enough, you can stay in from the shadows indefinitely. So now we're on to Stabomancer. As you guys know, from the shadows, nothing really I need to say about that. This is where the crit damage comes in for this build. First skill in the tree is Arsenal. This simply gives us 15% overall gun damage. Next is Potent Poisons, which is a huge help, giving us plus 20% to status effect damage as well as plus 40% to status duration. This skill directly contributes to these three skills over here in the Brr-Zerker tree. As we're applying the status effect and causing frost damage, the status effect damage and its duration is going to be increased, which is fantastic. Then we have Swift Death. This is another skill that helps us get further down the tree as well as give us a little added bonus, but nothing too crazy here. This one makes us deal plus 4% damage the faster we are moving. The reason why this one is selected is because all the other skills in this tree right here are focused around melee damage as well as movement speed, which we're not too focused on that with this build. We're just doing elemental damage with crit. Next we have Exploit Their Weakness. This simply gives us plus 6% damage increase whenever we apply a status effect, which as you know, with this build, you are constantly applying a status effect. 100% of the time, a status effect is being applied, whether it's a mob or whether it's a boss. You'll notice it when you use this build. Last but not least is Sneak Attack. This gives us plus 9% to crit damage, which is overall great for From the Shadows. We have a 9% increase to critical hit damage, which is fantastic because the whole point of this build is applying the elemental damage as well as being able to crit consistently when you're in From the Shadows. Now, I've had many different iterations of this build. I've had points into 1,000 cuts. I've had less points here, more points here, or vice versa. And so far, this is what I've seen skill tree-wise that has been the most optimized and most workable. So this part of the build has not changed often. What has changed is the gear, which we're going to go over briefly. I'm going to say it straight off the bat. A lot of this can be switched out. For me, it is consistently changing as the days go on. There's a few things that are concrete here, so I'll go over those. First and foremost, the Buffmeister. I don't need to explain this one. You guys know a lot about it. We have a cryo one with on action skill start, increased gun damage by 40% for 10 seconds, so that's amazing. The whole purpose with this build is you're going to pop the Buffmeister, then you're going to go into From the Shadows. You're going to have boosted DPS right there. The next piece of gear that's pretty concrete in this build is the Shark's Bane. Now, I'm waiting to get Chaotic, Volatile, or Primordial. The reason why this thing is so good is gun damage plus 30%. Now, that's not the biggest thing about this. The added bonus with the on a critical hit, this ring's effectiveness is increased by 25% for a short duration. But here's the beauty of it. We are in From the Shadows constantly doing crits, so this duration is constantly stacking and always staying up, so you're always having the 25% applied to the 30%. And that's what makes it amazing. But again, I'm trying to get Chaotic, I'm trying to get a Volatile, so if you can get it in any of those, that would be amazing. Now, these other pieces of the build can be switched out, and I constantly switch them out day by day as I find something new. Basically, what you want to focus on is gun damage, elemental damage, frost damage, and action skill cooldown. But other than that, you guys can pick and choose with these things. Keep the Buffmeister, keep the Shark's Bane. Like I said, get everything chaotic, get everything volatile if you can, but focus on the damage dealt, gun magazine size if you want. You want Brr-Zerker power. I wish this was frost power, but I haven't found one, but if you can, that would be amazing. And then the gun we're using is a snowballing Spriggan of Deadly Depths. I'm not going to go too much in detail with this because I do have a video on it. I want to make one big point here. This is going to be my final point with the build, and this is going to be for any builds you guys ever make. The amount of testing I've done. The previous version of this build, most of my enchantments were increase damage dealt or increase gun damage. Now, it was amazing and it was viable, but what I've noticed is if you're focusing on an elemental build, depending on what that element is, you want to get the enchantment that increases that specific element. So like here, we're focusing on frost. You want to get the enchantment that increases frost damage, or you want to get the enchantment that increases elemental damage. Generally, what I've seen, these are insanely more powerful than damage dealt or gun damage. So focus on these things, keep everything the same. Again, you can switch these out, keep these two pieces concrete. Get this SMG, it is insanely good, insanely good. I hope I explained this good enough for you guys. If not, and if you guys have questions, please feel free to drop a comment down below and I will help you guys out as much as I can. Like I said before, I have never done a build video, so I hope I was able to explain everything in depth well enough to you guys. If you guys have any questions, feel free to drop a comment below. Let me know and I will get back to them as soon as I can. Do not forget to subscribe to the channel. We are insanely close to 1,000 subscribers. Drop a like on the video. It really helps the channel grow. And as always, guys, stay happy, stay hyped, have a beautiful day, and good luck looting.